Hello guys, a very good morning and welcome to the Dhamakedar Faratedar and Mazdar session by me, that is Pritesh, your host, your dost and a proud educator from Embibe, welcoming you to the very interesting, very important and an amazing session that says the most important definitions from biology for your upcoming grade 10 board exam. So what are we going to do today? Today we'll be skimming all your 5 chapters of bio, that is life processes, how do organisms reproduce, heredity and evolution, our environment and control and coordination. We are going to skim and churn all these 5 chapters and we will be picking out the most important definitions from these chapters. Not only this, but we will also be doing some beautiful quiz questions based on this particular chapter, right? Based on every chapter we will be doing certain questions. Now, before we move ahead, I want all of you to go through the amazing Embibe app, which is absolutely free of cost, which gives you unlimited, unrestricted access to the amazing content, that is your NCERT books, extra books, questions, solutions, tests, assignments and a lot more, absolutely free of cost. Apart from that, I also want all of you to join the Embibe Telegram app, where you get the PDFs of all the sessions that we conduct, you get the everyday schedule and you also get a great way to connect with your favorite educators from Embibe. So all you need to do is just scan this QR code and join the Embibe Telegram group, right? So now let's begin without any further delay, where we are talking about the sure shot or the very important definitions from your grade 10 biology. In this particular session today, we'll be covering, as I told you, all your 5 chapters, right? We'll be covering all your 5 chapters, that is your life processes, control and coordination, how do organisms reproduce, heredity and evolution and our environment. Out of that, I would like to tell you that this particular topic, evolution, has been scrapped by the CBSE board, right? This has been scrapped by CBSE. So we won't be doing evolution, we'll be doing heredity only. Okay? So we have got life processes, control and coordination, how do organisms reproduce, heredity, as well as your our environment. Okay? So let's begin. First we begin with the chapter life processes. In this particular chapter we begin with nutrition, then we move on to circulation, we move on to transportation, circulation, transportation, excretion, respiration. These are the 4 processes that we discuss: nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. So let's begin, and I've got some beautiful visuals to show you to make your learning more beautiful. Okay? You can see that over here we have got the process of nutrition, where we can see these deer, they are eating the grass, practicing heterotropic mode of nutrition, and similarly a plant doing photosynthesis, that is autotropic mode of nutrition. So we have got both autotropic and heterotropic mode of nutrition, but before that we need to understand over here what is the meaning of nutrition. Okay? So let's begin with photosynthesis and nutrition, 2 very important definitions from your life processes chapter. Okay? So it is defined as the process by which organisms like plants prepare food from inorganic materials like carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Here it is very imperative for us to understand the formula for photosynthesis. So for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight, which is trapped by the chlorophyll to give you food, which is in the form of carbohydrates. These carbohydrates can be starch. If it is starch, it is stored food. If it is glucose, it is the used up food. And the byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen plus water in the form of water vapor. So these are the byproducts, right? So this is your photosynthesis. Now we talk about the second definition of nutrition. What do you mean by nutrition? Nutrition is nothing but the process by which living organisms receive and utilize the food materials necessary for survival, growth and repair of worn out tissues. Basically, the use of nutrition is energy, growth and repair. These are the 3 main uses of nutrition. Why do you need nutrition? You need nutrition for energy, you need nutrition for growth and you need nutrition for repair. Okay? That is about your photosynthesis and nutrition. Okay? Moving on to the next definition. Next on the screen we have got, can you identify what is this process going on? I'll just play it. Can you identify what is the process going on? Anybody in the chat? Come on, try. What do you think the process is going on? Very good morning to all of you. Very good morning. Come on, tell me. This is the process that begins from your food pipe to the entire alimentary canal. What is this process? This process is nothing but the process of peristalsis. It's a rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, right? It is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the GI tract which creates a series of wave-like movements that move food through the digestive tract. Where does peristalsis begin? It begins in the esophagus or the food pipe. Esophagus, and it runs throughout the alimentary canal. That is your peristalsis. Okay, done. So this is the definition for peristalsis: rhythmic contraction and relaxation of GI tract which creates the series of wave-like movements and move food through the digestive tract. We move on to the next, and that is, as you can see on the screen, what do you think this is? What do you think this is? You can see the pulmonary circuit, you can see the systemic circuit. This is nothing but the process of double circulation. If you have attended my class yesterday, we saw that double circulation is a sure shot guaranteed question in your exam as well, right? So double circulation is something which will be asked in the exam as well, in the form of 5 mark. It can also come as a definition. So what is double circulation? It is the circulation between the heart and the lungs, which is called pulmonary circulation, that takes place with the help of pulmonary veins and the pulmonary arteries. And then you have got the circulation between the heart and the body, which is called as the systemic circulation between with the help of the systemic aorta and the superior and inferior vena cava. So a type of circulation in which blood flows through the heart twice is called double circulation. Here we have got pulmonary and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation takes place with the help of pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins. Systemic circulation takes place with the help of the systemic aorta and the superior and the inferior vena cava. So double circulation is the circulation between the heart, lungs, heart, which is called pulmonary circulation, heart, body, heart, which is called systemic circulation. Okay? So that is your double circulation. Again a short definition in your exam. Next one, let's see what do we have. So here you can see what is happening is that the leaves are preparing food and the food is being sent to all the parts of the plant, right? So where is food prepared? Food is prepared in the kitchen of the plant or the food factories of the plant, that is the leaves. You can see that they are preparing the food and they are sending the food to all the parts of the plant. And this is nothing but your process of translocation. Translocation of organic solutes from the source to the sink through the phloem sieve tubes is called as translocation. In your grade 9 you have already studied that how phloem has got 5 different types of tissues, right? So phloem is a part of the permanent tissue of the plant. Okay? And then if you see the next one, here you can see how the blood is coming into the kidney, urine is being formed and urine is filling up the urinary bladder. This tells me that this is the process of excretion. It's the process of removal of nitrogenous metabolic waste from the body is known as excretion. So here we are studying two very important processes, translocation as well as excretion. Okay? So these are your two processes, translocation and excretion. Again super important definitions from your exam point of view. So what are the definitions that we did today from the chapter life processes? So from life processes we studied, to begin with we had photosynthesis, we had nutrition, we also did peristalsis, we also did your double circulation, and then we moved on to your translocation and excretion. Okay? Now let me ask you a couple of questions based on this. Let me see how well are you able to answer it. Very simple question I have in front of you. The autotropic mode of nutrition requires autotropic. What do you mean by the word autotropic? auto means self, tropism means nourishment. So, the ones those who are nourishing themselves, the autotropic mode of nutrition requires carbon dioxide and water, chlorophyll, sunlight, or all of the above. Very easy question from your exam point of view. Just click on the correct answer and I will give you 20 seconds for this. Your time starts now. 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and the correct answer without a doubt is all of the above. The process that we are talking here about is photosynthesis. ठीक है, photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide and water along with sunlight and chlorophyll, and they prepare food and give oxygen and water vapor as the byproduct, right? Over here we have got Himani and one more child who has given me the correct answer. That's amazing, very good, beautifully awesome. We are talking about photosynthesis over here. This is the detailed solution for this particular question. With this we move ahead and we talk about the next question. Movement of food through the esophagus is due to dash. Why is the food moving down the esophagus? Is it because of lubrication by saliva, peristalsis, gravitational pull, or none of these? So you have to give one answer. You have to give one answer over here. So what will be the answer? Something which I'll just, I'll make your job a little easier. I'll make your job a little easier by giving you a hint over here. Okay? So here I'll give the hint as movement of food through the esophagus with the help of muscular movement. So when we are talking about muscular movement, what is the process? What is the process? Is it lubrication by saliva, peristalsis, gravitational pull, or none of these? Quickly give me your answer. I'll give you 20 seconds. Your time starts now. 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. The correct answer for this is, the correct answer for this question is your peristalsis. ठीक है? So we have got Himani who has given the correct answer. ठीक है? And Dheeraj who could not get it right. No problem. Now to avoid the confusion, and so that you get the maximum out of this question, that's why I gave you this hint that it is with the help of muscular movement. Now lubrication by saliva, gravitational pull, all of these are passive ways in which the food goes through the saliva, food goes down the esophagus. But when I am talking about the active way and when I am talking about the muscular movement, we have learned that peristalsis is the way through muscular contractions the food is put down the esophagus. ठीक है? चलो, with this we move on further ahead and we talk next about the solution, that is esophagus. The food is moving down the esophagus with the help of the movement called peristalsis. ठीक है? Next question, which of the following is not the product of excretory system? Now guys, here I would like to stop you and tell you some very important point that what happens in the exam. जब हम पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं या जब हम एग्जाम के टाइम पे हमारा जब आंसर मतलब क्वेश्चन पेपर हम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, ये जो नॉट वर्ड होता है ना, ये हम स्किप कर जाते हैं. That's why you will see that in many exams the word not is given in capital. ठीक है? So that is why you have to understand here that which of the following is not the product of the excretory system. It is not a product of the excretory system. Urine, uric acid, undigested food, or sweat. Think and answer. It's a little challenging and your time starts now. 10, only 10 seconds for this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and okay. ठीक है? The correct answer is undigested food. Why it is not a part of the excretory system? Because it comes under egestion. It is a part of nutrition. When I am talking about nutrition, there are processes involved such as ingestion, then digestion, absorption, assimilation and then egestion, right? Nutrition has 5 different processes: ingestion, that is taking in of food; digestion is breaking down of complex food into simpler ones; absorption is taking in the nutrients; assimilation is Amazon delivery, that is utilizing those nutrients at the correct places in the body; and finally egestion. Egestion is removal of undigested food from the body. So undigested food is a part of nutrition, it is not a part of excretion. ठीक है? Urine, uric acid, sweat, all of these fall under the same category. ठीक है? So this is the process of excretion, where we are dealing with removal of carbon dioxide with the help of lungs. So lungs is also an excretory organ. Removal of sweat and excess oil is also excretion. That is why skin, liver also helps to remove the waste products, large intestine and kidneys. So that is why we have got nutrition as the correct answer for undigested food, because it falls under nutrition, that is digestion. With this we move on to the next chapter. The next chapter, very good morning Dheeraj. So with this we move on to the next chapter, that is control and coordination. And when we are talking about the chapter control and coordination, here we discuss about the brain, the spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system, that is the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. We talk about the autonomic nervous system. We also talk about the tropic movements in plants. How do plants move towards light, that is phototropism? How do they move towards the water, that is hydrotropism? How do plants respond to stimuli? We also learn about the reflex arc, the reflex action, and a lot more, voluntary and involuntary reflex actions. So we have got a beautiful chapter waiting for us ahead. Let's begin with control and coordination. So here we have the very first definition of the word stimuli. So what do you mean by stimuli? You can see here that this man is just touching a candle, right? So when this man is touching the candle, it is a stimulus. What do you mean by stimulus? Stimulus is nothing but a sudden change in the environment. It can be touching a hot object, it can be touching a very cold object, it can be touching a sharp object, it can be stamping by mistake on a thorn, or stepping by mistake on a thorn. So these are all nothing but stimuli. What is stimuli? It is nothing but a sudden change in the environment. The changes in the surrounding that make us respond to them is called stimuli. The next one you have in front of you is a synapse. What is synapse? It is where two neurons meet. Where two neurons meet, that is called as a synapse. So the axon of one neuron and the dendrite of other neuron, wherever they meet, where the exchange of information happens with the help of chemicals, that is here we talk about chemical neurotransmitters, that is acetylcholine and the potassium ions, that is nothing but a synapse, the junction where two neurons meet. Okay, you can see how a synapse is taking place over here. Yeah, so here is where two neurons are meeting. Is a junction between the axon terminal of one neuron and the dendrite of next neuron, where the information is passed from one neuron to the next, which is also called as an impulse. It is also called as an impulse. So stimuli and synapse are very important definitions. The next ones that we have on our screen is nothing but the reflex action. You can see over here how the impulse is transferring, it happens so quickly, and this is nothing but a reflex action. Let's see the reflex action or the reflex arc. Reflex arc is the pathway, and the the action of performing it is called as the reflex action. The pathway taken by the reflex action is referred to as the reflex arc. It normally involves the receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, and motor neuron finally reaching the effector organ. So what happens is, this is your receptor cell. This will receive the impulse. As soon as it receives the impulse, it will give the impulse to the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron will carry the impulse. It will give it to the association neuron. Association or the relay neuron. You can see here the green color one. The green color one is the, can you see over here? I'm sure you can see it now. The green color one is the relay neuron, right? This is the relay neuron. The relay neuron gives the impulse to the motor neuron. Motor neuron carries the impulse to the effector organ, and that is how you react. So suppose if somebody just pricks you a pin while you are watching this lecture, you will just pull back your hand or you will give one slap to the other person. Why this happens is, it is because your receptor cell receives the impulse, gives it to the sensory neuron gives it to the relay neuron gives it to the motor neuron gives it to your muscle cell, and you just pull back your hand. All of this happens within a fraction of a second, and that is what is the reflex action, and the pathway is called as the reflex arc. Okay? Then Moving on to the next one, and that is your tropic movement. Tropic movement is movement towards a stimulus. You know, plants move towards light, they move, the roots move towards water. That is nothing but tropic movement, the growth related movement exhibited by plants in response to an external stimulus. Like hydrotropism is movement towards water, geotropism is movement towards the earth, phototropism is movement towards light. When you touch a mimosa or a touch me not, why does it close? It is nothing but chemotropism. Okay, movement towards a chemical change. So, whenever a plant is responding towards an impulse, or sorry, towards a stimulus, that is called as a tropic movement. Okay. The next one is feedback mechanism. Super important. Feedback mechanism is the one on which your entire body is working. We know from the chapter control and coordination that there is the pituitary gland, which is the master endocrine gland. It is controlling all the other endocrine glands. Now, for example, your body is running low on thyroxine. So, this is understood by the pituitary gland. A message is given to the pituitary gland by your thyroid gland that the body is running low on thyroxine. Pituitary gland will push the thyroid gland to create more and more thyroxine, and this is how the feedback mechanism works. Feedback mechanism works on the principle of getting a message from the particular gland that I am short of something or I am growing over on something, and how the pituitary gland reacts to it. So, what is feedback mechanism? The metabolic process that are used by living systems to maintain a steady internal state known as homeostasis. Now, this word homeostasis, this is going to come in your exam, not in your exam rather, this is going to come in your books many times, right? Homeostasis is going to come in your books many times. So, please be well versed with this term, that is homeostasis, which means a proper comfortable situation of your body, a normal internal state. Okay? Now, here we have a couple of questions. Gravitropism is the movement of a plant in response to light, gravity, touch or heat. Super easy. I think it's very easy. The question itself tells you the answer. So, 15 seconds are more than enough. Your time starts now. 15, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, we have got Himani who has given me the correct answer. That's very nice. The answer is gravity. Gravitropism or geotropism is the movement of the roots towards the earth. Okay? It is gravitropism or geotropism. You can also call it as geotropism. Okay? The next question, super easy. This is the solution to it, geotropism. Okay? Which of the following statements are true? Sudden action in response to something in the environment is called as reflex action. Sensory neurons carry impulse from spinal cord to muscle. Motor neurons carry signals from receptor to spinal cord. The path through which the signals are transmitted from a receptor to a muscle or a gland is called as reflex arc. First and second, first and third, first and fourth, or first, second, third. Which of these are correct? Think and answer. It's a little lengthy one, so I'll give you a little over 30 seconds. Your time starts now. Come on, quick, very quick. 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, if you see this question over here, sudden action in response to something in the environment is called as reflex action. Yes. Sensory neurons carry signals from spinal cord to muscles. No, they carry it from receptor to the spinal cord. Motor neuron carry signals from receptor to spinal cord. No. So, this should be vice versa, right? And the path through which signals are transmitted from a receptor or a muscle to a muscle or a gland is called reflex arc. Yes. So, which makes third as my correct answer. Okay, it makes C as my correct answer. Perfect. Chalo. Done. We know this very well. And with that, we move on to the next chapter, right? This is the third chapter. We have 3 more chapters to go. How do organisms reproduce, heredity, evolution, and our environment. So, let's begin with the third chapter now, that is how do organisms reproduce. Here we have got a very interesting video over here. You tell me, what does it show? What does it show? It is showing like how a new plant is growing with the help of a stem. With the help of a stem, how a new plant is growing. We see this in rose. You just take a rose stem cutting, you put it in the soil and a new rose plant will come. This is called as vegetative propagation. What do you mean by the word vegetative? You know, suppose if we use it for a human, that you know this particular person is in vegetative state. Vegetative means of no use, non-reproductive, right? And when I talk about vegetative propagation, it means reproduction through non-reproductive parts of the plant, that is stem, leaf or the root. Okay? First we have got vegetative propagation. What is vegetative propagation? It is the form of asexual reproduction with the help of vegetative or non-reproductive parts like the leaf, stem and the root. We see stem vegetative propagation in case of rose, we see leaf vegetative propagation in case of bryophyllum, and we see root vegetative propagation in the in case of sweet potato or the dahlia. Then asexual reproduction is where only one gamete is involved. We see minimum variation. There is no male and female. There are no two parents. There is a single parent which is dividing into two, forming two daughter cells, and that is your asexual reproduction without any variation. Okay? With this, we move on to the next one, and that is, again, I want you to help me understand this. What is happening over here? This is the micropyle through which the pollen tube is entering. It is fertilizing. If you remember, yesterday we did syngamy and triple fusion. Yeah, two male gametes will come. Yeah, this is syngamy and this is triple fusion. What is this? What is this? This is nothing but your double fertilization. Why double fertilization? Because we saw yesterday, if you have attended my class, if you haven't, please go and attend this class which I took yesterday, where I took guaranteed 5-mark questions from for your grade 10 biology. And also guys, do not forget to give this video a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and yes, do share it with your friends from grade 10, because this is super important. Every day all your favorite educators from Embibe, Surbhi ma'am, Sushmita ma'am, Ankana ma'am, Tushar sir and myself, we are coming live every day with very interesting and amazing topics for all of you. Okay? Talking about double fertilization, what happens is, when a pollen grain lands on the stigma, it generates a pollen tube in which there are two male gametes. One male gamete fuses with the egg cell and the other male gamete fuses with two polar nuclei. The one that is fusing with the egg cell, that is called as syngamy, and the one that is fusing with two polar nuclei, that is called as triple fusion. And because there are two fertilizations happening, that is why we call it as double fertilization. Okay? And then finally the seeds develop, and then we have the radicle, plumule, embryo, etc, etc, etc. Okay? So that is why this is called as double fertilization. What is pollination? It is the transfer of pollen from anther to stig. That is your pollination. Okay? Chalo. Then again over here, I'll show you the video and then you tell me what exactly is happening. You can see that the release of the ovum, fertilization took place, division of the zygote, and finally it went down the fallopian tube into the uterus, and it implanted itself. It implanted itself. So what did we see over here? We saw two important processes. One, actually three important processes: ovulation, release of the mature ovum from the ovary, fertilization, as well as implantation. Let us see them. First, we have got fertilization. The fusion of male and female gamete to form a single celled zygote is called as fertilization. This is sexual reproduction. And the second process that we are seeing over here is implantation. What is implantation? When the zygote successfully fixes itself in the uterine wall of the uterus, that is called as implantation. Only after successful implantation, the woman is said to be pregnant. Only after successful implantation, the woman is said to be pregnant. Okay? This is fertilization and this is implantation. We already saw how well it is happening over here. Okay? Then we move on, and what do we have over here? So this is a very cute, fully grown baby whom we call as fetus in the medical language, and it is ready to come out of the mother. You can see that the fetus has grown fully in the uterus, and now how it is coming out of the vagina or the birth canal. the cord that you can see, which is connected to the mother and the womb, which is connected to the baby and the womb, that is called as the umbilical cord. And this tissue over here that you saw, the disc like tissue, that is the placenta, which is important for exchange of nutrients between the mother and the fetus. So we saw over here two important processes. One is parturition and the second is gestation. Parturition is the delivery, which is also called as delivery. When the woman delivers the baby, in medical terms it is called as parturition. It happens after the gestation period, which is of 280 days in humans. Gestation period is different for different animals. Like for a hen, the gestation period is 21 days. For an elephant, the gestation period is 2 years. And for human, the gestation period is 280 days or 9 months or 40 weeks. Okay? Now, parturition is the expelling of the fully formed young one from the mother's uterus after the gestation period of 280 days in human females. It is also called as labor. The gestation period is the time between conception and birthing. It is calculated from the first day of a woman's last menstrual period. For example, the average human pregnancy lasts for 280 days or 40 weeks or 9 months, right? So this, what you are seeing over here is parturition, and the entire pregnancy period is called as gestation. Okay? So what did we do in this chapter? In how do organisms reproduce? We learnt about your vegetative propagation, asexual reproduction. Then we dealt with double fertilization. We also dealt with implantation and fertilization. We dealt with parturition and gestation. Now I want you guys to answer a couple of questions based on this chapter. How do organisms reproduce? So the first question: offspring formed by asexual reproduction have greater similarity among themselves because it involves only one parent, it does not involve gametes, it occurs before sexual reproduction, or it occurs after sexual reproduction. Why do organisms, or why does the progeny of the asexual reproduction show a lot of similarity? Why there is minimal variation seen in asexual reproduction? Is it because of 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 4, or 3 and 4? Very easy. I think 20 seconds are more than enough. Your time starts now. 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. The correct answer will be your 1 and 2, because it has only one parent, because there is no involvement of gametes. That is why there is no mixing of genes, and because of which there is minimal variation and a lot of similarity. Okay, that is your asexual reproduction. This is the solution to the answer. There is no mixing of genes. And the next question: the correct sequence of reproductive stages in flowering plants will be gamete, zygote, embryo, seedling, zygote, gametes, embryo, seedling, seedling, embryo, zygote, gametes, gametes, embryo, zygote, or seedling. So what will be the correct sequence for the reproductive stages? Think and answer. 20 seconds. Your time starts now. 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. That's amazing. Very good. We have got 2 students who have answered absolutely correctly. That's beautiful. The answer will be your A. First, the gametes will be formed. These gametes will fuse to undergo fertilization, having one single cell zygote. The zygote will divide into embryo, and the embryo will finally form radical, plumule and the seedling. Okay? Very well. That's beautifully awesome. Okay? Then, moving on to the next chapter, heredity and evolution, out of which I told you the evolution part has been scrapped by the CBSE. So, we will be dealing only with heredity. Here we will be talking about topics like heredity, variation, Mendel's laws, laws of dominance, segregation, independent assortment. Then we have got alleles, chromosomes. We have also got monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross. We have got very, very beautiful and interesting concepts and topic names that we will be dealing with. So, let us begin. First and foremost, we have got, as you can see over here, this itself is telling you that we are dealing with the topic of variation and heredity. Okay? So, heredity is the process of passing the traits and characters from parents to the offspring with the help of genes. What is a gene? Gene is a segment of a DNA. How will you define gene? Gene will be defined as segment of DNA. Okay? Gene is the segment of the DNA. Then next we have is variations. So what are variations? Variations are the differences in the genetic makeup or phenotype in a species or the group of organisms of any species. So variations are the differences in the phenotype. Like even if you and your sibling are twins, still you are not clones of each other. There will be some differences between you and your sibling. There will be differences between you and your cousin, right? There will be differences between your grandmother and your grandfather, and your mother and father, and you and your sibling, right? So there are differences between you and your friend. All of you don't look similar. All of your habits are not the same. Your likes and dislikes are not the same. So all that is because of the mixing of genes, and that is why in humans you see so much of variation, because there are so many different types of genes, right? There are almost 10,000 chromosomes in human beings. Okay? Chalo. Moving ahead, we have got the genotype. What is genotype? Genotype is the genetic makeup, the genetic combination of an organism. Okay? Like a pure tall will be capital T, capital T. A pure dwarf will be small t, small t. A heterozygous tall or a hybrid tall will be capital T, small t. So that is the genotype. That is the genotype. You can see here capital T, capital T is pure tall, capital T, small t is hybrid tall, capital T, small t is hybrid tall, small t is pure dwarf or pure short. So this what you are seeing over here, like capital T, all this is nothing but the genotype. The genetic makeup or the genetic combination of an organism is called as the genotype. Similarly, we have got phenotype, which is the external appearance. Whatever you see, whatever you are able to see in an organism is nothing but the phenotype. So it is the external appearance of the organism. Like a plant having genotype capital T, small t will appear as tall, right? What is appearing is tall, but the genetic combination is hybrid tall. So what you are seeing is phenotype, what is genetic is genotype. Then we move on with the next one. Now this is very interesting, because here we are talking about monohybrid cross. Monohybrid, mono means one, hybrid is the combination. So when we are studying only one character, that is called as monohybrid cross. Like over here we are only studying the height. We are only studying the height. So what are the combinations that we have over here? We have got T, 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 T. ठीक है? So इसका क्या बनेगा? इसका हमारा genetic makeup बनेगा. This will be, one will be pure tall. I'll write it over here. Right? So when we are studying, we'll get pure tall, hybrid tall, and pure dwarf. So this is monohybrid cross when we are studying only one character at a time. When we are studying only one character at a time, that is called as monohybrid cross. But when we are studying two characters at a time, see, that differs with respect to single character. So when we are studying only one character at a time, it is called as monohybrid cross, and when we are studying two characters at the time, that is called as dihybrid cross. That is called as dihybrid cross. For example, if we are having yellow round and green wrinkled, if we are having a pea seed, you all know that Mendel studied pea plant, that is the garden pea. The scientific name is Pisum sativum. Why did he study garden pea? Because it was perennial, it had 7 pairs of contrasting characters, it was very easy to grow. That is why he chose the garden pea. Okay? So if we are having yellow round and green wrinkled seeds, what will be the gametes? The gametes that you will get will be okay, and what will be the combinations? The combinations will be, right, YYRR. This will be the combination. Now here you are studying two characters. What are those two characters? One is the color and the second is the texture. Color yellow or green, texture round or wrinkled. So that is why when we are studying two characters, when we are studying two characters at the time, that is when it is called as a dihybrid cross. That is when it is called as a dihybrid cross, when you are studying two characters at a time. ठीक है, चलो. Now we come to the three laws. We know that Mendel gave three laws: law of dominance, law of independent assortment, and law of segregation. Law of dominance tells me that in a pair, one gets expressed and the other does not get expressed. The one that gets expressed is called as the dominant, and the one which does not get expressed, that is called as recessive. For example, there is a boy whose mother has blue eyes, father has black eyes, and he has got black eyes, which means that the gene for black eyes is dominant in him and the one for blue eyes is recessive in him, right? So that is how dominant and recessive takes place. For example, when I am talking about a hybrid tall, the gene for tallness is dominant in the plant and the gene for dwarfness is recessive in the plant. That is called as law of domination, law of dominance. Okay? That when two alternative forms of a trait or character are present in an organism, only one expresses itself while the other remains hidden or dormant or recessive. The one that expresses is called as dominant and the one that remains hidden is called as recessive. Okay? That is the law of dominance. Next one we have is the law of segregation. What is law of segregation? That while the gametes are formed, the genes get separated. States that the factors or alleles of a pair segregate from each other during gamete formation in a way that gamete receives only one of the two factors. Okay? Now, in a human being there are 46 chromosomes, but in the gamete there are only 23. So what happened? They got separated. Okay? Now, if suppose we are talking about a father and a mother, okay, I'll show you here with the help of an example. Okay? So say that the father and the mother. So the father is hybrid tall and the mother is pure tall. Now the father's sperm will have either T or small t and the mother's ovum will have T or T. Now if the father's this T combines with the mother, the child will be a pure tall. If the father's this T combines with the mother's this T, the child will be a hybrid tall, right? But similarly, if I consider that the mother is also a hybrid tall, now what are the possibilities? That if this T comes with this T, the child will be a pure tall. If this T comes with this T, the child will be a hybrid tall. But if this T comes with this T, the child will be a pure dwarf. Okay? So what happens is that when the gametes are formed, they get separated. You saw that if father has released 3 million sperm cells at a time, 1.5 million will have capital T, 1.5 million will have small t, but the ovum will have only big T. Okay? Because the mother releases only one ovum. So that is what means by the law of segregation. And is it dependent on anything? No, it is completely independent. Okay? So that is called the law of independent assortment, where we understand that they are completely independent of each other. They are not dependent on anyone. It is based on inheritance of two genes, dihybrid cross, which states that when two pairs of contrasting characters are combined in a hybrid, segregation of one pair of characters is independent. Which will go where? That is completely independent. It does not depend on anything. Okay? You please read this. Okay, law of dominance I'll explain again. Don't worry. Here, if you have to write the gametes, how you will write it? And the same you will write it here as well. Capital R, capital Y, small r, big Y. Okay, this is the law of independent assortment. Okay, now moving on, law of dominance, one of you wanted again, so don't worry, I'll explain. The law of dominance says that when there are two alleles in a person, one gets expressed and the other remains dormant. So the one that is expressed is called as dominant, and the one that does not get expressed is called as recessive. ठीक है? चलो. Question. A cross between plants with two contrasting characters is called self, monohybrid, dihybrid or trihybrid. Come on, quickly give me this answer. I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. We are talking about two contrasting characters, and when the word two comes, it is dihybrid. So the answer will be option C. ठीक है? One of you gave it correctly. That's really very nice. This is dihybrid cross, and with this we move ahead to the next question. Which Mendelian law states that inheritance of one character is always independent to the inheritance of other character within the same individual? We are talking about independence. So the answer is very easy. Is it dominance, segregation, independent assortment, or both B and C? Come on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Without a doubt, it will be independent assortment. Okay? The answer was right in the question. Chalo. With this, we move on to the final chapter. Our environment, very easy, where we talk about very few definitions: ecosystem, food chain, food web, biomagnification. Okay? So let's begin. First and foremost, we have biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Biodegradable are the ones which will get decomposed in the environment and they will not leave behind any residue. All your organic waste, your fruit and vegetable peels, tea leaves, all of that comes under biodegradable waste. Non-biodegradable is something which will not get decomposed in the environment, like plastic, rubber, right? They will never get decomposed, and this will just lead to pollution, and that is your non-biodegradable waste. Then we move ahead next with the food chain and the food web. So what is the food chain? It is a linear sequence. Like a grasshopper is eating the grass, a frog is eating the grasshopper, the snake is eating the frog, and the hawk is eating the snake. It is a linear sequence. Whereas when I talk about the food web, here there are interconnected food chains. Like grass can be eaten by a grasshopper, it can be eaten by a deer as well, it can be eaten by a rabbit as well, right? And this rabbit can be eaten by a snake, the frog can be eaten by a snake, right? The snake can be eaten by a hawk, the deer can be eaten by a lion, the lion will be decomposed. So where there are interconnected food chains like the one that you are seeing over here, that is called as a food web. That is called as a food web. Okay? Then the next one what we have on our screens is biomagnification. Biomagnification is how a pollutant's intensity, how a pollutant's the effect of a pollutant magnifies at every tropic level. That is nothing but your biomagnification. The phenomena of increase in the accumulation of toxic substance within the organism at each level of the food chain. So if the water is polluted, eventually when this water reaches us, we feel we face the maximum brunt of this toxic pollution. That is your biomagnification, right? And then we have got very interesting eutrophication. Eutrophication is, suppose I'll explain you eutrophication very nicely. Suppose a farmer has added fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer in his farm. Now this fertilizer is nothing but food. So some of the fertilizer will reach the soil. Through the soil it will leach and reach the water body. Now what is this fertilizer? It is nothing but water. So when it is nothing but food. So when this fertilizer reaches the water, the algae gets very happy. Oh wow, I have got so much of food. And the algae starts growing and growing and growing and growing, eating or feeding on the fertilizer. Now when this algae grows a lot, it causes something called as algal bloom. Algal bloom is a layer of algae on the entire water. Now what happens because of this is that the oxygen supply between the water and the air gets cut out because of the algae. Even sunlight is not able to reach, and because of deficiency of sunlight and oxygen, all the aquatic life under that algae in water starts dying. and this entire phenomena is called as eutrophication. As you can see, fertilizer goes into the soil, leaching, reaches the water, increases algae, blocks the sunlight, blocks the oxygen, fish suffocates and dies, and that is called as eutrophication. So what is eutrophication? The process in which a water body becomes overly enriched with nutrients, leading to plentiful growth of the simple plant life. Excessive growth of algae and plankton in a water body are indicators of this process. Okay? Chalo. With this, last in a food chain, the initial organism is photosynthetic, herbivore, saprotropic, saprophytic or parasitic. Very easy. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Without a doubt, the answer is photosynthetic. So the food chain always begins with the producers. Then next one, which among the following is non-biodegradable? Very easy, some 4th standard question this is. Kitchen waste, agriculture, human excreta or plastic. Which of these is non-biodegradable? Non-biodegradable, very easy. Come on, quickly give me your answer. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. The answer is very good student at Himani, very nice. The answer is plastic waste, right? It is plastic waste. Very good. Chalo. And with that we come to the end. I hope you guys had a great time, because I had a great time going through your entire biology and the important terms. If you have enjoyed this session, do not forget to give this video a big fat thumbs up. Share this video with your friends in school WhatsApp groups, and also guys, subscribe to the channel because it's absolutely free of cost. If you have missed watching this session live, do not worry, because you can get all the notes of the sessions on the Embibe Telegram channel, which you can join by scanning this QR code. So join us on Telegram and you'll get the PDF notes of the entire session. Also, do visit the Embibe website, because there you get the entire NCERT and lot many other books, questions and solutions absolutely free of cost. Do stay tuned, and until we meet next, keep imbibing.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.